Oh. 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 Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and greetings from Niagara Falls. Shall we start with jokes? A meme I saw. I'm helping my child right now to find the chocolate that I ate last night. Whenever there's sweets in this house and our kids don't claim it, I claim it. Another meme was a mother, a parent, needed 5 minutes to herself. So she went into a room and there was a sign, I will be back in 5 minutes. And outside of that room, there's 2 kids fighting with each other, 2 pets that are looking for food. Something was on fire. That they have to come back to that. And a more intense one was, now I understand why some animals eat their kids after some time. In Vedanta, there are 2 similar sounding words, bandha and sambandha. Tell me in the chat, what does bandha mean? Ties, tied, bound, bondage. And what does sambandha mean? A relationship, a relative. What stops a relationship from limiting us is insight. When we have an insight about our relationship with our Creator, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with everyone, we're not limited then. But this insight cannot stay as an intellectual insight. For a lot of us, we're given good advice, but we externalize this, that this applies to someone else, or this will apply later. For many of you who are younger, your family and friends who don't have an interest in self-development, what do they say to you when you engage in self-development? That you must be sad. Are you fighting at home? That's why you have a relationship with Vedanta. I can't remember if I told you this. We had a marriage enrichment retreat in Portland some years ago. And somehow, and this was in the Indian community, there was a stigma that if you attended this retreat, it's because you're having marital problems. So I had to record a message saying, if you don't attend this retreat, you have marital problems. So this insight has to be invested upon. You have to feel this and then implement this. It's not just, I know this. Real knowing is when you can live accordingly. Insight, investment, and implementation. Our workshop is unique because a couple of weeks ago, we were together in a scrimmage. You were at home, you were working, but every evening we checked in with each other. We laughed, we engaged in dynamics. But last week, you were in the game. There was no check-in, correct? There was no guidance. And now we're back to the scrimmage. How did you do in the game? How did you do in the uncontrolled environment? Share with me how last week was compared to the week prior. Was it more meaningful? Less judgmental? The same? It was more peaceful. It was calmer. More calm. More reflective. For those who are sharing these remarks, this shows you that you have engaged in insight, investment, implementation. We continue with the second part of our workshop. We are using a mantra for insights. This is a most simple mantra, a most rememberable mantra. Remember though, if you don't practice this mantra, the power of that mantra is not released. If you have a key and you put it into a lock, but you don't turn that key, then that key is essentially futile. I'll chant each line, you repeat, because some of you may be new to this mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Ma vidvishavahai. Together. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We're using this mantra in reverse order. On day one of our workshop, we focused on, may we be. Can you remind me, please? It's been a long time. May we be what? Peaceful. Being peaceful is the foremost purpose of our life. Nothing, no one should come between you and this purpose. Only when you are peaceful can you share peace. If you fundamentally love your parents, your siblings, your children, you will ensure that you have peace to share. And a tactile way to do this, take vitamin R3. Run for 30 minutes, read for 20 minutes, research for 10 minutes. Days when I cannot give an hour to my equipments, I feel sad on those days. That my original parent, even my biological parents, have given me these amazing equipments, a body, a mind, an intellect, and I can't even give 1 out of 24 hours to ensure that these equipments work well. It's a sad day because I've forgotten that purpose. Something has come between me and this purpose. Someone has come between me and this purpose. Vitamin R3. Our next focus, ma vidvishavahai. May we understand. Only upon understanding ourselves can we understand another. And I shared a lot of thoughts on language. I recently read an article, and I will keep sharing insights with you about this. The title of this article is The Dangers of Distracted Parenting. And her name is Pasik. She's a professor at Temple University. She has shared, language is the single greatest indicator of school achievement. She's talking about young kids. And how do kids learn language? From their parents, you know? Today when we were driving, my wife Sheila had used the word shoot, S-H-O-O-T, and Shuka, our younger son, was with us. And immediately he started saying, shoot, shoot, shoot. And I was like, yes, Shuka, Amma is using bad words. I know. Distracted parents, they themselves are unclear about language, so they can't help their child, and see how they become limited for forever then. And a tactile way to, may we understand, was plea, pray, lead, engage, and finally, accept. This is most difficult with our families. How do I know this? Because the people we get angry at the most, that is our families. Anger and acceptance are antonyms. And many teachers say, just accept. That's not possible. This has to be practiced serially. Only if you've prayed will you lead. If you lead, you will engage. If you engage, you will accept. And the last day of our workshop, Tejasvina Patitamastu, may we shine. Shining is, in Sanskrit, called Shreya. Shreya means big picture, long-term, selfless in nature. The opposite is Preya, which is small picture, short-term, selfish in nature. Those who live in the short term, they may shine for some time, but then they burn out. But those who follow Shreya, they shine in a steady, sincere, stamina-like way. And this means living in the long term. It is much easier to tie our kids' shoes than to teach them how to tie their shoes, correct? One is Preya, one is Shreya. It is much easier to shelter our kids than to protect them. In sheltering them, we don't let the world teach them. In protecting them, we allow the world to punch them, to kick them, so that they become stronger. Everyone who typically gets an influenza vaccine, what are they putting into your body? Influenza, correct? So that your body becomes tough enough to fight that. Long term. And a tactile way to engage in May We Shine, a focus on resilience, exercise, examples, and ethics. When we invest in exercise, examples, and ethics, we will be more selfless, more long-term, more big picture oriented. This is what we covered a couple of weeks ago. Now we continue to Sahaviryam Karavavahai, which means may we exert. May we exert. May we be peaceful. May we understand. May we shine. Now, may we exert. I'll first give you a Vedantic reference. This comes from Srimad Bhagavatam, a lovely portion of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm using this in easy evenings. For those who are joining me for our daily evening workshop, I call it easy evenings, but really I'm teaching Srimad Bhagavatam. Just don't tell anyone. Easy evenings is much more marketable than Srimad Bhagavatam. Raja Yudhishthira, and I'm saying Raja, he's the ruler of the land. He's having a dialogue with Rishi Narada about what the dharma, what the responsibility is of certain types of people, of all people. And he gives this framework. I'll read it in Sanskrit, then I'll explain in English. This is very cool and important. For your reference, this is the 7th skanda, the 15th adhyaya, the 38th shloka, 7:15:38. Garhastasya kriya tyago vratatyago vatorapi tapasvino grama seva bhikshor indriya lolata. Rishi Narada shares here, from the ages 0 to 23. Are any of you that old? 0 to 23. Good. The training that you're supposed to engage in is in vrata. Vrata means commitment. From age 0 to 23, the training in this period of life is in commitment, vrata. The next age range is 24 to 49. 24 to 47, sorry, 24 to 47. How many of you are in this age range? Okay. Your samyama, or training, is in kriya, or responsibilities. In kriya, or hard work. In kriya, or may we exert. And then for your reference, from the age of 48 to 59, your samyama is in seva. Seva means supporting society and community and society. Community and society. And from age 60 to 72, the typical lifespan will be around 72 years old. One's training should be in the indriyas, which is our senses. We tend to find completion through our senses, but between the age of 60 and 72, you should learn to be happy independently. Did you catch those? Commitment, responsibility, service, and completion. Different phases of life. Now, what I'm focusing on is kriya. When you're in this period of your life, you have to work hard. Swami Tejomayananda shared, there is no substitute to hard work in any period of life, but certainly in this phase of life. When you expect otherwise, you're tiring yourself out, correct? And that's what's amazing about these teachings. They're given millions of years ago. Parenting has not changed in that sense. From a more secular perspective, I'd shared with all of you about the 50th anniversary of email. In the article that I had shared with you, some of the suggestions on how to manage emails, text messages, and all of this is not just working harder, but working smarter. And please do write this down and implement this, is have office hours. In terms of your professional work, check your emails at a certain period in the morning, a certain period in the evening. Whatever your circumstance demands, but there should be office hours. Professors do that, correct? Physicians do that. My wife is an attorney, she does that. Have office hours. This is a way to not just work hard, but work smarter too. In this article, what was also shared, if you're on vacation and I send you an email, typically you have an auto response, correct? I'm on vacation and contact this person. And then when you come back after three or 4 days, how many emails do you have? 500, correct? What should happen is emails that are sent to someone on vacation should be deleted. The word used is destroyed. Then you're really on vacation. Otherwise, you come back from vacation and you think, why did I even go on vacation? Things are worse now. Yes, it's not just about working harder. Again, it's about working smarter. In referring to hunt, gather, parent, the author shares, you have to carry on with your life. One cannot stop their life to just be a parent. The house still needs to be cleaned. You still have to exercise. You still have to bank. You still have to have a social life. Of course, being a parent is one of the foremost responsibilities, but the point is, carry on, because if you don't carry on, you're sheltering those kids instead of protecting them. And when you carry on, they learn to carry on too. Otherwise, they always need attention. The same book, the same author talks about allo-parenting. Get help from your siblings, from your friends, from your parents. This is not just good for you, but it's good for the child too. So what I've shared from a Vedantic perspective is be ready for hard work. And I find that many parents are expecting otherwise. When I got married, many of my friends got married in the same year. My high school friends. And 2 of them, maybe more, got divorced within the year. And I knew my friends, obviously, they were males, but I knew their spouses also. Now they're ex-spouses well. And so I talked to everyone about what's going on. And what their spouses shared with me, these are not my friends' spouses, they shared that your friend, that's how they referred to their spouses, your friend is still stuck in high school. That they never grew up in terms of what changes when you get married. What changes when you have a child? And I completely concur with them. That you just have to work harder. And then I gave some tactile points on how to do this, office hours and carrying on with your life and allo-parenting. In a most tactile way, I'll share this and then we'll continue on to dynamics. I've told you about vitamin R3, PLE, the 3 E's, which is exercise, examples, and ethics. Now I'm going to share with you the 5 earlies, which I've been mentioning many times in the previous week. I'm sharing this again. The 5 earlies are sleep early. I cannot emphasize this enough for parents. For young parents, sleeping early is your game changer. Because if you sleep earlier, you will wake up earlier. And when you wake up earlier, who's still not awake? Your spouse. Your children. It is a divine time. Like, I'm going to finish with all of you at 11:50. Ideally, I'll be sleeping at 11:30, and I will get up at 4:30, and it will be, I have a 5:30 meeting, but suppose I didn't have that meeting. I wouldn't have to talk to anyone for 2 hours. That is a most rejuvenating experience. And I don't mean that to insult you right now as I'm talking to you. If you sleep early, you'll wake up early. When you wake up early, you will study early. Everything that we've been exploring. Now that your intellect is filled with inspiration, you will walk early, exercise early. Then all of a sudden your body feels better. And this all leads to forgive early. If you can think of pettiness, when you made something small into something big, did that make you a better parent? A better person? And if one just forgave early, which means to not be bothered by it, or to share that I'm bothered by this, but it's my own weakness. See, you're admitting to it. You're expressing it, but you're admitting to it. How relieved one feels. Sleep early is for the body. Wake early is for the intellect. Study early is for the mind. Walk early is for your breath, your pranamaya kosha. And forgive early. Tell me what part of that is, which part of you is that for? Forgive early. Ego or every part of you? It requires a lot of strength to be able to forgive early, which is why there's this whole system in place. And I very much dislike talking about myself, but I practice these, especially the sleep early part. And as I mentioned, the more responsibilities that you have, and I'm just going to check in with Penal G to make sure everyone's muted. Sheetal's not muted right now.
Yes, everybody's muted.
Nope, Sheetal is not muted. Sheetal, can you mute yourself, please? Okay. These have helped me and my family a lot. And this is why I've challenged all of you to do this too, and now more than 250 seekers have. Okay? From discourse to dynamics. The first dynamics that we all engaged in was guided imagery. And through a simple sharing of English words on nature, how much more calm and peaceful we felt. Some of you fell asleep, remember? It's free melatonin. The second dynamics was the scenarios that I presented to you. How scenarios like a child taking money from you to buy a gift for someone else. Is that right or wrong? How do you address that? Is it so black and white? The third dynamics was you were given a grid and you had to identify your strengths and utilize those strengths. Now your fourth dynamics. This is called minute to mind management. Minute to mind management. This is quite precious to me. I find this to be very useful, so much so that many corporations have invited me to facilitate this at their corporations, including the Department of Defense. So now you get to experience this in this parenting workshop. So whether you're the military or parents, it's all the same. Everyone show me a sheet of paper that you have. Okay. On a fresh sheet of paper, on the top of your page, I want you to write plus 168. Plus 168. What does plus 168 symbolize? Why did I ask you to write that? This is how many hours you have every week. Whether you cry for more time or try to buy more time, it's always going to be plus 168, okay? Hours a week. This is your supply. Now what I want you to do is analyze a typical week. This may not be a typical week because for 90 minutes in the evening, we're together. What demands are there on your time? So as an example, if you sleep 7 hours a night, under plus 168, you will write minus 49. 7 days, 7 hours, correct? Minus 49, and then indicate what you're doing. So sleep. If you groom for an hour a day, you'll write minus 7, grooming. Everyone's clear about that? So start to do that. Start assessing your demands on time. Use a typical week. Use whole numbers. If you have any questions about this, you can ask in the chat. Driving, cleaning, shopping, doing your kids' homework, study groups, service, prayers, disciplines, exercise. Netflix, HBO Max, IPTV, WhatsApp, your professional responsibilities, your academic responsibilities. Eating, fighting, forgiving. When you feel that you've analyzed your day enough or your week enough, subtract. You have a plus number, take out all of the minuses, and you will come up with a total. Do that now. Plus 168, minus 49, minus 35, etc. And when you come up with your total, share in the chat. Honestly. The plus is your supply. Yes, 168 hours a week. And now you're taking out your demand. So if you have a negative number, that's not possible. It's not, you can't go into negative time dimensions. Arun, 3. Umesh, 14. $12 from Rutu. Neha and Theos did it together. No, that was Neha's, 32. Mahalakshmi, 10. Asmita, 3. Durga, 35. Padmini, 12. Shivan, 5. Jagan, 30. Okay. Keep sharing, those who have not. The next part of this dynamics, what has surprised you the most about your week? Look at your week, what you're doing every day. What is surprising to you? Rinku, how much I sleep. I'm presuming you mean too much, not too little. Yes, Rinku? Any other surprises from anyone? Share, be vulnerable. Time with kids, you mean too much or too little? Please be specific. Malini, I have more time than I think. No way. Rita, lots of downtime. Mansuk, you work too much or too little? Umesh, I work too much. Priya, I can do better stuff with my time. Asmita, I spend more time with my kids. Arun, how little time I spend on my self-development. Mahadevan and Geeta, how much I use my phone. Okay. I had facilitated this workshop at Comerica Bank in Detroit. And one gentleman, and these are random people that I've never met in my life, and I haven't since. You are not random people. He seemed quite sad when he had done this. And I caught this and I asked him, please share what surprised you about your week. And he realized that he smoked cigarettes 7 hours a week. 7 hours, that's an hour a day. And I was very appreciative of his vulnerability and of this dynamics, because when you see that you're doing this, hopefully one will stop doing this. Hopefully he smokes half an hour a day now instead of an hour a day, correct? That's an amazing change. Here's what I want you to do now. I want you to identify which activities are not productive. And let's say sleep, we'll go back to Rinku. Sleep obviously is productive, but how much sleep is productive, correct? So I want you to start to magnify your schedule more. If there's any activities that are not productive, write NP. And if you find a activity you're engaged in is not productive because of too many hours or too little hours, then write NP and be specific. That if I'm sleeping 49 hours a week, that's, let's say, 7 hours too much. So NP, and then you put a 6 there. Okay? Don't overthink this. Just see what's not productive in your schedule. You have to decide what's productive. Correct? That's why I'm saying don't overthink this. Reflect on it. I acknowledge we all need downtime, but how much downtime? We all need to sleep, but how much do you need to sleep? I can't tell you that. You have to reflect on this. And if you want me to tell you, then you have to sleep 35 hours a week then. See, now all of a sudden, no, don't tell us, don't tell us anymore. And pause. Please share in the chat. What did you identify as not being productive? Or there's an activity and there's too much time going into it. Share. Rima, browsing. The bedtime routine is not productive. Mahalakshmi, cooking. You mean too much time cooking? Manan, chores. You wish someone else could do them for you. That's your insight. Screen time. Screaming at kids. Very not productive. When you listen to the news, I think every month or every 2 months, the Labor Department will announce their job report, correct? And if it's good, stocks go up, and if it's bad, stocks go down. Companies legally have to forecast their earnings, Apple, Google, etc. I feel that every seeker, that is all of you, individually and as a family, every quarter you should go through minute to mind management and keep on making your schedule more and more disciplined, more and more efficient. If you somehow find 7 hours a week because you're browsing too much or sleeping too much, and you assign a dollar value to that, I feel I'm worth $20 an hour. So that really means if I find those 7 hours, that's $150 a week that I now have that I didn't have before. If I multiply that by 50, that's $7,500. In 20 years, that becomes $150,000, correct? Tomorrow you have to offer dakshina, so you can give me a portion of that $150,000. That I found you, correct? So every quarter, individuals and families should go through this. May we exert, again, is not about sweating more. It's about sweating and thinking. And we'll pause there. Discourse complete. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.